Hello, everybody. We are slightly less than a month away from CBP Connects New Orleans, happening this December 8th through 10th, and I can't wait to visit Louisiana. CBP Connects brings together industry decision makers just like you from all across the country. We've got 14 educational sessions, 3 nightly receptions, and 1 can't miss event to end your year with inspiration. So we're extremely thankful for the support of Arrived, our presenting sponsor, for all the support they've given us for the past 4 years, and for all of our partners that keep CBP Connects one of the most affordable and actionable events that you can attend. But first, let's meet our guest today. I'm joined by others who will be presenting and taking part and hosting us in New Orleans. So Brittany, you are to the right of me. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Brittany Waiss. I'm the HR manager at KettleHouse Brewing Company in Missoula, Montana. And I'm super excited to be participating in a panel where we'll be talking all things building teams and leadership and how we really help grow our people and have the best team possible.
We're going to dive into that shortly, but you were at a past CBP Connects. I always get it wrong, but it was Milwaukee you joined us last?
It was Milwaukee. It was awesome.
That was a good time. So welcome back. I'm excited to see you face-to-face in just a few weeks.
Likewise.
No, Pulkit, you're in beautiful, sunny Florida right now. Wait, did I get that right? Or are you traveling somewhere?
You are. I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now.
I shouldn't assume, but tell everybody who hasn't met you before just a little bit about you and the Fifth Ingredient.
For sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Pulkit Agrawal. I'm the founder and CEO of Beer 30 by the Fifth Ingredient. Beer 30 is an all-in-one brewery data management system that allows you to track your data from grain to glass, everything from the purchase orders, brewery production, sales, accounting integration, future demand planning, and material resource planning to give you the full supply chain loop. We compete against other software systems like Ecos, Ollie, Orchestrated Beer, NetSuite, Brew, Able, things like that. So that's on the Beer 30 side. And I'm very excited for CBP Connects. It's going to be, I think, 4 years in a row now of doing all the different
You've been to one each year, but you did miss the last one, and we missed you in Charlotte. So it's exciting to have you back this December.
Looking forward to it.
And remember, though, when we go to the bars or restaurants late at night, make sure you bring sleeves so they don't tell you can't come inside. So
yes, that is something that has happened in the past. So being I'm not allowed to go inside a bar because I had sleeves on or did not have sleeves on.
But anyways, excited to see you soon. And Eric, you're at Parleaux. We're hosting our night 2 reception there, and I can't wait. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and the brewery.
Yeah, so we're Parleaux Beer Lab. We are in the Bywater neighborhood, and a historic neighborhood in New Orleans, just a mile outside the French Quarter. We are the last brewery on the Mississippi River before you hit the Gulf of Mexico. We're a small brewery that is pretty hyper local to New Orleans. We focus a lot on like Euro lagers and mixed firm stuff. We have a really large beer garden filled with citrus trees, fig trees, and other fruits and muscadine vines. But we're really excited. We did a collaboration with CMG and Thomas Fawcett. And so we're going to be releasing a really special English strong bitter when everyone's here, with maybe a special cask as well. So it's going to be really fun. The weather down here in December is generally really nice. And I'm just looking forward to connecting with so many other brewers and breweries, because when you're in the industry, it's so hard to have the time to connect with other people. And so this is such a incredible opportunity for us to just connect and be with each other.
Thanks in advance for hosting us, but you nailed it. I mean, we have to be so intentional about taking time to connect with others just like us, but also taking that time to learn, because it's so easy to get stuck in the day-to-day of running our businesses. I think we're all nodding our heads on that one. So appreciate all of you for taking the time to either travel or be part of this event. Now, Brittany, I want to pick your brain first, because you're going to be speaking. You're going to be on a panel, and it's about building strong brewery teams and future leaders. So tell me why this topic is important right now.
Yeah, I think this now more than ever, as we face like sort of the changing industry and some of the issues that we've come into as an industry, having strong leaders is what keeps your employees engaged and what keeps people weathering rough storms and rough markets. And so being able to develop the people that you have in-house, have strong leaders that even continue to grow and get stronger is such an important key to success. And I think that's something we pour a lot at KettleHouse into leadership development. And that's one of the reasons that we've continued to see growth in a tough market. We've got crazy retention, and all of that is because we always try to keep our eye on the ball when it comes to strong leaders and leading great teams.
No, and you're going to be joined by some other really wonderful folks on your panel. You've got someone from Craft Leadership, we've got Skydance Brewing and Urban South. So it's not just going to be all of your insight, but insight from breweries of all shapes and sizes from across the country. I think there's a lot to learn on that one. And PK, you've talked about leadership before, and you've kind of changed a lot of your talking points over the years. So I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on why leadership is more important than ever right now and why we're seeing it in more conversations, but also preview what you're going to talk about this go around.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Andrew. So I'll split that up. So the first piece about the leadership aspect, I think even on our end, on the software side of things and being a vendor, now more than ever, it's a time where when the industry is on a decline, the executive team and leadership team needs to really step up and have a vision that they're able to share with their team. And what that really looks like, a lot of that is when you have an idea of what you're trying to achieve, especially on the brewery side, what's differentiating you from the other brewers around you, right? And one of the big things that I always like talking about as a leader is that in present day, complacency kills a brewery. And effectively that ties in as leaders of being able to get into things when it's part of your quality of beer. If you make bad beer or your customers aren't happy, they're just going to go down the street to a different brewery. It comes down to the actual sales side of things and making sure that you're able to sell the best beer possible and actually have revenue coming through, and then cost of goods sold, right? Understanding ways that you're actually able to build those profit margins. So as leaders in the entire brewery side of things, it's important now more than ever. And I think we've started to see that over the last 2 to 3 years as a whole, especially post-COVID, of how leaders at a brewery need to really step up and look at what's happening on their team side of things. So Brittany, I'm super excited to hear on the panel and understand kind of what action items and pieces that you have for people who are listening in.
And PK, we're talking about, how the industry is changing in your sessions, navigating a changing beverage landscape, a SWOT analysis. And you've done something similar but different before. So tell us what we can expect from this and why it's a little bit different than some other educational sessions we get at other conferences.
Yeah, so the coolest thing about this SWOT analysis is that it's not just me standing on stage for an hour talking about it. Effectively, a SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the idea behind this is actually having big white papers around the room and people getting up into 5 different groups, let's say. So effectively based on the role that they're in of owner, production, sales, taproom, marketing, and really using almost like a 30-minute exercise to learn from each other and really actively brainstorm what's happening when it comes to the strengths of your particular brewery, where are their weaknesses or areas for improvement, opportunities of what can come up in 2026, and being very realistic about the threats that we all face as an industry and as businesses. And the idea here really is to collaborate with your peers to explore those solutions and actively leave with actionable next steps. So that way, any single person that's actually attending these seminars and attending CBP Connects is able to say, okay, cool, when I leave here today, what I want to do with my team is one action from each of these 4 quadrants. So what are we doing differently based on our strengths? What are we looking at from our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And so that's where I'm really excited, because it allows so much of our crowdsourcing and thoughts and bouncing off of each other and really a deep dive discussion, which leads to a very fruitful end of activity and a really cool crowdsourced end of day.
Yeah, and that's one of the goals of CBP Connects, be much more interactive than your typical conference. I think so often we go somewhere, we will look at slides and we get some cool data, we get some cool stories, but often the question is, what do I do now? The goal is from each of these sessions, you're going to have a little notebook or take notes on your computer or your phone and have that actionable takeaway where you feel you need to get back to your business and implement this or try this, or just simply inspired to do something a little bit differently.
Yep.
Now, Eric, I'm curious. This will be your first CBP Connects. What are you looking forward to? What do you expect? I'd love to hear, what you think's going to happen.
I'm excited about just connecting with so many other breweries. I'm always looking to learn, and I think the best way for me personally to learn is to talk to other breweries, other brewery owners and employees to see how they're running things. We're a small brewery in a tough market. We're in a state that is really hard to operate a brewery in Louisiana. We have a lot of restrictive laws. And so being able to connect with other people and see how they innovate and think about their own businesses is really helpful for us. Because we kind of think about, when I think about Parleaux, and we're a mom and pop shop. My wife Lee and I own Parleaux, and we don't have investors, and so our livelihoods are invested into this place. And so when we're thinking about it in kind of like 4 ways, 2 outward and 2 inward ways for Parleaux, I'm always thinking about the beer, the product, creating the highest quality thing we can, creating a great experience inside of our tap room, which I think has become more important than ever. And then inwardly thinking about how do we create a really good team with a positive morale. And then also one that I think sometimes gets forgotten, but is important for us, is like how understanding our finances down to the cost of the paper cups we buy. And so I think that those 4 things. And so when I'm talking to other breweries, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they think about these things in their own ways. And so I'm an active learner, so I love to talk. And so I'm really looking forward to hosting people here and connecting.
This will be right up your alley. And I think all 4 things you were curious about, I think there'll be things you'll take away.
Right.
Now, we're coming to your city. We're coming to New Orleans. And for events like this, there's a lot of learning to take place, but I know people will have time to escape a little bit or maybe tacking on an extra day before or after their trip. We could probably talk for an hour in itself on this, but what would you say are like 5 things, 5 highlights, whether restaurants, attractions, breweries, things people need to do while they're experiencing your city, maybe for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans is a magical place. I moved here 22 years ago thinking it'd be a stop on the road for me in life. And I fell in love with it. I met, Leah here, and to me, I'm living in my favorite city in the world. I love this place so much, and I'm happy to be able to share it with y'all. It's a city where people live outside of their homes and not in their homes. Your home is where you sleep, but you live outside of your house in New Orleans. And so the number one thing you need to do is be out on the streets. It's a colorful city. You can be whoever you want to be. To nail down a couple of restaurants is impossible because there's so much great food here. It's Flavor Town. We love, you can't get away with having poor quality food in this city. And so you got to eat as much as you can. It's a cocktail city. There's, cocktails. Some people say, there are a lot of original cocktails that were invented in New Orleans. So we have some of the best world-class bars in the city that are really chic and nice. And then we also have some of the best dive bars in the city.
Okay,
and
give us your dive bar recommendation. We're going to require one of those.
Easy. Within 3 blocks of Parleaux, 4 of the best dive bars in the city are within 3 blocks of Parleaux. Vaughn's, which has music every night. BJ's, 2 blocks away, has music every night. And J&J's Sports Lounge, which there's nothing really sports loungy about it. And you can get like $2 all-day IPAs. And then Bar Redux. All 4 of those, after you're hanging out at Parleaux, you have to go walk to one of those. There's going to be music at every single one of them. You can stay as late as you want because there's no closing time in this city, while being responsible, of course. And so all 4 of those are great. And then going to see music too. I mean, music is everywhere in this city. And so there's an incredible brewery a mile down the road from us called Brewing. I got to shout them out because they make great beer. But they're also right off of Frenchman Street, which has incredible music going on all night. So Frenchman Street, if you want to see music, go get some beer at Brewing and then go see some music on Frenchman Street.
Those are some fantastic tips there. So based off the conversation so far, we're going to eat a lot, we're going to drink a lot, we're going to learn a lot. So how do we prepare for this? PK, I'm going to lean on you first because you've been to the most CBP Connects outside of myself. So give us your tip. And everybody, there's no repeats. You got to be original. What's your tip for preparing for the event?
Yeah, so the very first thing is when you sign up and get your ticket, the schedule is available. Just take 10 minutes to just go through each of the items on the website. Just even during this call and prep for this, I went through it and it was like, oh, cool. These are some really fun topics. So I think as you go through those topics, just coming up with what are some of those aspects of the talk actually impacting your business and just start thinking about it. I think between now and a full month, it gives you a lot of time to really dive in and just have that in the back of your mind for the actual engagement part of it. I think the next big thing is just like any other conference, hydration, especially Eric, those sound like amazing dive bars. You get into a lot of cocktails, things like that. The event starts off at 8 a.m. on, as much as we want to start off later, 8 a.m. on Tuesday and 8 a.m. on Wednesday. So just being in a spot where you are staying responsible with that, getting your hydration and food in, things like that. And I think the last big thing for me, especially in the way that CBP Connects happens, is put yourself out there. Just when you're sitting in the tables, that's actually one of my favorite things with CBP Connect. It's not like some of the other like state guild conferences or national conferences that are just like more like you walk into a ballroom or walk into a conference room and then just walk out. Usually the setup is in like circular tables. So when you're sitting there, talk to your neighbor, ask them what they're doing. And I think, Eric, to your point of like those key items that you're looking for, so many other brewery owners that are there and head brewers and operators are looking for the same thing. And so you'll be really pleasantly surprised. And I've always had a great time of just connecting with the people that are at my table and brainstorming about problems that I'm having in my business or potential problems they're having, and really using that as a way to just bounce ideas off of. So just put yourself out there and connect.
Yeah, you called out something that I hadn't mentioned yet. One of the things I love about CBP Connects is the fact that everything takes place in one room or one big ballroom. You register, you walk through a maze of trade show, and you're immediately seated with strangers. And, you know, it sounds funny to say, and I've said it on these before, but people come to CBP Connects to meet strangers, just like you said, because there's so much we can learn from one another. Those are some great tips there, PK, all from plenty of experience enjoying these events. Now, Brittany, give us your tip. You've been to one, but you've been to other conferences in your life.
Like, yeah.
So, outside of hydrating and just getting ready mentally, what can we do?
Yeah, bring that liquid IV, right? Just challenge yourself to talk to a new person every time. So every different like reception that we go to, integrate into a different group, try new foods, try new beers, try to think through problems differently. So hear from other breweries and try to think how you can apply that to yourself. So I think just challenge yourself to be open and change and bust out of your comfort zone a little bit, and you'll definitely come back with a whole notebook of takeaways.
And even if you're a little shy at first, I guarantee other people will want to talk to you.
Yeah, everyone's so nice.
And also one thing I like about CBP Connects, because you're on a panel and there's only so much time every panelist get to talk. But the thing about a CBP Connects is there's so much extra time where people in the audience can come to you, ask questions, dive a little bit deeper. You know, often it's tough to pick the brains of the speakers more just because life's busy, conferences are big. But at this event, you will get that one-on-one group time with the others on stage and just sitting right next to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And make connections later, right? Connect on LinkedIn or Instagram and make sure that you foster those relationships even outside of New Orleans.
Definitely. Now, Eric, any extra tips, whether it's about your city, whether about attending an event, how can we make sure we're ready?
Well, I'll say that New Orleans also has some of the nicest people in the city. So in addition to like when you're sitting down next to a stranger, a brewery stranger, also, don't be afraid to talk to New Orleanians. New Orleanians love to talk to other people. Talk to the people here. They're incredible. And one little thing I'll say that I always forget it when I leave New Orleans, but in New Orleans, you know, at 5 o'clock here at the brewery, we'll get a bunch of dog walkers coming through to get beers to go, because you can get a beer and sip it while you walk through the neighborhood. So don't be afraid to get a beer or something else. You know, it doesn't have to be alcoholic, and just walk through the neighborhoods, because the architecture, it's a colorful city. And so just kind of like immerse yourself and kind of, you know, be aware of what's around you, because again, I forget it all the time when I leave the city, but it's a special place that feels very different than anywhere else in the US.
You've got me so excited to visit for the first time. I might be picking your brain for more recommendations or need a buddy to hang out with at a dive bar.
I got them.
Eric,
Awesome.
are there any pro tips that you have for Bourbon Street? Something that we should be mindful of or know about as we explore?
Yeah. So my tip is I don't go to Bourbon Street. So Bourbon Street is where everyone from out of town goes. It's the French Quarter is an incredible, beautiful place outside of Bourbon Street. And there are some of the best bars, some of the best restaurants, art galleries, music venues outside of Bourbon Street. So my advice would be, don't be afraid to walk off of that street, because there is some of the most incredible of all those things I just listed, music, food, art, are in the French Quarter outside of that. So the drinks on Bourbon Street are insanely sweet and have a lot of booze in them. So I would say be mindful of what you get on Bourbon Street.
I think that's a good one. Be very mindful of everything regarding this event.
Yeah. And those cups that are neon green and bright pink, and those things are loaded with sugar and high octane alcohol. So be aware of what you're purchasing.
Awesome. Well, Brittany, PK, and Eric, you offered tons of great insight into what you'll be talking about and ideas and advice for people coming to their first CBP Connects or maybe coming to New Orleans for the first time in a long time. So everybody listening today, I hope you are motivated to join us this December in New Orleans. The city alone, I don't know any other beer events that have been there in a little bit. I know there's some other great ones coming up, but we're excited to be there this December. I hope you can join us for exploring the city, networking, and learning together. You can grab your spot at cbpconnects.com. We appreciate all of our speakers and partners on this event. So everybody, we'll see you in just a few weeks, and we can't wait for it. Have a good one, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers.